everybody, and welcome back to Donovan's Daily Dose. I'm your favorite APUSH history teacher, Mr. Donovan, and today we're going to take a look at the environmentalist movement. Now, for this video, I'm really going to focus on post-World War II environmentalism, and this will align really well with period 8 of the AP curriculum. So let's dive right in. Now, to set the scene for this environmentalist movement, there's a few different trends to keep in mind. First, we have the rise in use of atomic weaponry. So we know that the atomic bombs are used on both Hiroshima and Nagasaki at the end of World War II. We know that the Soviet Union tested their first atomic weapon successfully in 1949. So the development of atomic weaponry is one thing that sets the scene for these environmental concerns. We also have the exploration of nuclear power as a source of energy in the future and nuclear weapons. So both atomic and nuclear weapons are going to be tested by the US and Soviet Union. The United States is going to test these test these weapons in places like the Marshall Islands and the Bikini Atoll, Utah, Nevada, and all of this is going to lead to some concerns about the health concerns that arise as part of this nuclear and atomic testing. So fears about nuclear fallout, increased exposure to radiation are all going to set the scene for the environmentalist movement. Now, one of the biggest causes of this is going to be the book Silent Spring, so pictured right here. So this is written by Rachel Carson, and she takes on these environmental issues. She also talks about the chemical DDT. It's a pesticide that's used at this time, and it's having negative effects on our ecosystem. It's resulting in the death of a lot of the wildlife in America. And Rachel Carson's book really works as a muckraker-like type of journalist adventure in the case that she is exposing a problem that exists in America in hopes of causing significant action. Along with that, other causes include some disasters like oil spills. One of the big examples is the Santa Barbara oil spill in 1969. While drilling off the Santa Barbara coast, there's going to be an enormous oil spill that causes environmental concerns for the people of California. And we also have the rise of activism post-World War II. So this environmentalist movement that's taking place coincides with things like the civil rights movement. It coincides with things like the second wave of feminism. All of these play a huge role in shaping America post-World War II, and the environmentalist movement happens at the exact same time. And then last but not least, we start to see this activism result in organizations dedicated to fighting for environmental justice. And one of the big examples of this would be the Sierra Club. Now that we understand the context and causes, what changes? And there's a few significant changes. I'm going to go over just a couple so that you understand enough to do well on the AP test. First, we have John F. Kennedy. So Kennedy is going to expand the amount of national seashores in America. There's going to be national protection for the Cape Cod, which is in Massachusetts, and then as far west as Point Reyes in California. He's not the only president to tackle the environmental concerns. Lyndon B. Johnson in his Great Society program is also going to do the same thing. Under his presidency, the redwoods forest will be protected in California. We'll also see the development and enforcement of a couple different laws during his presidency that deal with environmental justice, including the Clean Air Act and the Water Quality Act. Now, both of these give the federal government the authority to enforce regulations regarding air and water pollution. They also provide information and funds towards research. They set certain standards, minimum quality standards for air and water. They increase government regulation of like vehicle inspections and emissions and pollutions. And all of this has a huge fundamental impact on the way that we live. It's estimated by the National Park Service that ever since 1970, when some of these legislations start to kick in, America has reduced its air pollution by 50 million tons. So this has a significant impact on the environment. And then last but not least, we got Richard Nixon. When he gets elected in 1968, he is going to tackle environmental concerns as well. Under one of his executive orders, the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA as it's called today, is going to be developed. So this federal agency is going to be focused on, again, protecting America's natural resources, having the federal government enforce some of the legislation passed under LBJ to ensure that there is a minimum standard of quality for water and air. So all of these presidents in the late 60s, early 70s really do have some role in this environmentalist movement. Now, what's the big point here? So why does this matter, and why might it pop up in the AP? So there's a couple things to keep in mind. First, it expands the role of the federal government, especially the executive branch. The federal government is now taking on the responsibility of protecting America's natural resources. Also, it shows how youth activism leads to a lot of success in legislative change during this time. Again, these laws like the Clean Air Act, the Water Quality Act, just to name a couple, are examples of things that are changed because of the pressure that activism causes. This we also see with the civil rights movement and the second wave of feminism. So that's it for the environmentalist movement post-World War II. Enjoy your day. See you again soon.